Okay, so ladies, let's start. Good afternoon, ladies, and good morning, Andy. It's nice to be having the third masterclass for the Aspiring Entrepreneurs Program Cohort 2. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you, and it gives me even a better pleasure, right, to invite our facilitator for today. So let me talk about our facilitator. Apologies for the video, we will get that sorted. But whilst we get that sorted, let me just read our bio. So Andy is an innovation consultant who has builds entrepreneurial capabilities in the enterprise. Her consultancy is called Future Tight, and the companies that she works with are preparing for disruption. These are companies seeking new areas of growth and creating the ability to learn and adapt at scale. She's been a long-term mentor of startups in the Bay Area, 500 Startups, Indigo, Singularity University, Draper University, Seneca, BC. And for many of you who may not know where the Bay Area is, Silicon Valley is one of the valleys in the Bay Area, right? I know Silicon Valley is more popular, yeah, but I mean, the entire area is known as the San Francisco Bay Area. And the recent things she's worked with include the NASA Ames Mission Control. She's worked with Procter & Gamble. She's worked with Unilever. She's worked with United States Department of Defense. And prior to this, she co-founded Singlebound Creative in 2000. And it's a product studio / digital agency. And she's had and the company ran for about 11 years and served various Fortune 500 clients and visionary startups. In its later years, Singlebound partnered with VC firms to spin up new pilot ventures. So ladies, it is my pleasure, it's my delight to welcome on board Andy. And Andy is going to be taking to be a masterclass. Today is going to be a workshop. So ladies, get ready and get set to have your businesses transformed, as Andy will be taking us on how to design a winning business model and also help us to understand and dissect our customers even better. Andy, thank you for
Thank you so much for having me. There was a little bit of a glitch in the internet drop for a second, but I think it's fine. I'm sorry that I can't show you my face because, like I said, I put on lipstick today. I look pretty good, but you'll just have to imagine that. This is the extent that I'm able to share my screen here. I hope you all can see it. It says designing a winning business model. Is that clear? Is that coming through? Give me a quick, yes in the chat if you can see it. There it is. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, well, I have to confess that my favorite thing is, yes. Yes, what was that?
Please, can you just try your video again? I've made a co-host now.
Okay, yeah, let's try it again. There I am. Okay, this is me with lipstick, and I changed my hair in COVID because I was stuck at home. So here I am. It's lovely to see everyone. Or to have everyone here and to know that you can see me. I'm going to dive right in because we don't have a ton of time. But so my favorite thing is coaching female founders specifically. I love to do this, and it'll be clear in a moment why that's the case. Female founders who are usually very early stage that are looking for problem solution fit. Like we talked about a moment ago, I've been in and around Silicon Valley working here for over 20 years, probably around 25 years. I was part of the first tech bubble here, and now in the second one, in whatever the one is that we're in now. And I work with companies like the Mayo Clinic, Procter & Gamble, NASA, to help them be able to do the work of entrepreneurs. Today, we're talking about designing a winning business model. And I'm going to talk for a few minutes, and then we're just going to get right into it. So please have a few sheets of paper ready in case we need to start over, have more than one, and at least one pen, hopefully two, in case one comes out or one runs out. All right, let's get started here. As women thrive, so will we all. This was spoken by former United Nations Secretary General. And this is something we know to be true. This is something we know now. When women are thriving, it's not just that they themselves are thriving and doing better and having more opportunity, but because of women's roles in societies around the world, their families do better, obviously. Their entire communities do better. And when women head corporations, those companies make more money, they make more profits. So we know this, as women thrive, so will we all. This is the same when women enter politics. They tend to prioritize issues they prioritize issues for the most vulnerable of our society, because we're used to taking care of other people and thinking about other people. So I believe this in my core. I think it's very important to internalize this as a founder, that it's necessary for you to be thriving, and you should do this. You should thrive. So let's thrive. Let's do this. For founding a business, there are these three things. I have a dual monitor thing, so you'll see me looking to the side a lot. I'm just looking at my other monitor. These are things that happen when you're running a business, and they need to happen in this order. This is a little bit generalized, but basically you need problem solution fit, then product market fit. And then once you have that, you can scale if your business model supports it. So let's go through this bit by bit. So problem solution fit. Let's talk about this. Let's say there's an outdoor market near me. Let's say I live by an outdoor market, and when it rains, I always see people caught off guard, putting things over their head. And this is because the market I live by is a place people will stop by to get last minute things, but it's not necessarily planned. So people are caught unawares when it rains. So I think I can solve this problem, and I think I can run a business on it. I think I can support a business on this. So there are a few ways to solve this problem, right? Of getting rained on. Sure, there's the boring standard umbrella option, but I'm noticing that you can only use one hand when you have an umbrella. And if you tilt it wrong, your face might get wet. So I think that there's some better options even. My favorite option is this umbrella hat, but you could also wear an astronaut helmet and also keep dry from the rain. So I try a few of these options, and guess what? It looks like the umbrella is the one that people will go for. So I'm going to focus on that one. I've tried it with a couple people and they seem to like it. I tried it with a small set of people. And so now I have a product, because when you have a solution that's real and when you have a problem that's real, pardon me, and a solution that people will use, then you have a product. Okay, that's problem solution fit. Product market fit is when you have enough people that will buy your solution. There's enough people with this problem that you can support a business on it, right? So we're just really breaking it down. And then once you have product market fit, then if your business model supports it, you can scale. So I also want to say, just shout out if you have any questions, and I or one of the other panelists will be tracking these questions so we can talk about them as we go. Okay, so those are the order of operations for an entrepreneur. But now we're faced with the reality that many businesses fail within the first 5 years. I don't have the statistics handy about what the fail rate is in the first 5 years for all the different countries that you're all participating from today, but I can tell you in the US it's 50% fail within the first 5 years. And they fail for many different reasons. But the one that I have seen over and over and over is that they skip the first step. They don't look at those 3 steps as 3 steps. They kind of look at it as 1 step. And this happens all the time. So that's why I really wanted to see that specifically. So what does that look like when you skip the first step? So in my example here, let's say, the umbrella hat's my favorite hat, or my favorite solution for getting rained on. I think it's great. My mom thinks it's really great. All my friends think it's great. All my family members are like, yeah, that's great. You should do that. So I feel like I've got problem solution fit. I'm just going to go to market right away with my umbrella hat. Now, when I go to business with my umbrella hat and then discover that nobody wants to buy it, now I'm in a bad situation, right? Because I didn't actually validate that that's the right way to solve the problem. And it can even be worse if you just start at the 3rd step, scale. This is what a lot of large businesses do when they're innovating and trying to disrupt themselves. You have eager founders who analyze the market opportunity and they don't validate the solution. And what happens is they have a ton of, they invest a ton in a product that nobody wants. And then they have a big public sad failure. So, if I validate the problem and the solution, then I'm not in a situation where I have a lot of inventory and I've done a lot of expense and now I can't do anything with it. Okay, give me a quick shout out in the chat if you're with me and if this is making sense. Just give me a thumbs up or sounds good, and I'll continue. If anything is confusing, I want to make sure I address it right away. Okay, terrific. Thank you. Lots of thumbs up. All right, moving ahead then. So what is this telling us? This is telling us that it's really important to learn where you're wrong early. Learning where you're wrong early is really the key to it all. This is particularly true in businesses with a high level of uncertainty. And this is the type of business that I've been working with for 25 years, high level of uncertainty. We haven't done this before, we don't know. So unless you're launching in a proven market with a proven solution, and that the volume is there, then you're in an area of high uncertainty. If you're doing something that's been done a million times before and the market is very clear and you're just going to open a shop like that too, then perhaps you don't have to worry about this quite as much, although it's still important. But if you're in an area of somewhat high uncertainty or not fully proven, what we know now from the data is that 60 to 90% of what we think we know about our customers and their problem and what solution they will adopt, 60 to 90% of that is either not quite right or just plain wrong. And this is why it's very important to find out where you're wrong early and to understand, oh, I'm probably wrong about a bunch of stuff. So that's the single biggest mistake. But that's okay. It's okay if you're 60 to 90% wrong because you know that now and you're just starting, right? So this is okay. This is the best time to learn this. But you do have to be smart about it. And you have to focus early on the most important aspects because you don't have all the runway in the world to figure it out, right? You have to figure it out cheaply and you have to focus on the most important aspects. And that's where the lean business model canvas comes in. This is where we talk about the modern best practices in designing a business model. And it has changed quite a bit in the past decades. We used to do this stack of papers with a big no through it. It is talking about how we used to do business plans. So people and funders used to demand this. Banks, anybody that you worked with that you wanted to be considered serious by, you needed to have a very long list of papers, which was largely a work of fiction. Business plans of this nature say exactly what you're going to do. It assumes that you are right about your customer, what their pain is, what solutions they're going to adopt, and it assumes that you're right about like everything that's going to happen in the next 5 years in the world that's going to affect your business. And nobody reads it. So this was a horrible just practice that people were doing. Because you were able to predict the future for the next 5 years, these plans were not designed to change as you learn. And now we know that learning early where you're wrong is so important. So the lean canvas is what I really think is the best one to use for early stage founders because it is simple. It's focused. We can focus on the forest and not the trees. It's changeable. It's meant to be worked with and changed as you learn. This is a snapshot of 2 business model canvases I did with an African founder a couple of years ago. And he has a very successful business reclaiming wastewater in mining and recycling it. And it really took off. And I think being focused in these very early stages helped him. And it's very changeable. It's literally Post-it notes on papers if you want it to be. It's also standardized. So there's a shared language and a shared format in this. So you can work with your team to systematically challenge assumptions and chain logic that you have in your head about what you think is going to happen. And that is super important. Okay, so that is why we like this. Are there any questions right now before we dive right in? Because the next step is we're going to be working with pens and paper. So let me know if you have any big questions or are off, or if anything's not making sense before we continue.
Okay, so we have a question for Beatrice,
Yes.
Beatrice, I think from Nigeria. She's asking, is there a framework used in analyzing problem solution fits?
There are different practices and heuristics, but I will sum it up in product market fit or problem solution fit?
Problem solution fit.
Problem solution fit. So the important pieces in problem solution fit are 1, validating that the problem exists in the way you think it exists, and 2, validating that enough people are interested in your solution that you can move forward. And you do that through experimentation. And the important thing to know about experimentation is that you're getting actual, you're looking at real actions that customers are taking. It doesn't have to be many customers. And, oh, what was the second thing I was going to say? More coffee. Hang on one moment, please. Yes, coffee helps everything. So you're doing this with a small set of users or customers, and you're only finding out if you're wildly off the mark. You cannot prove that your business is correct or that your solution is correct. It's impossible to prove that it's correct, but what you can do is expose opportunities to see if it's wrong. And this goes to the scientific method. That's how the scientific method works. You cannot prove anything is absolutely true. You can only remove only remove doubt that you're wrong. Okay, and so through experimentation early on, you can determine if you have enough problem solution fit that you feel comfortable moving forward. And if that is a big topic of interest, then I will talk offline to the panelists, and maybe we can do another session on that if there's time.
Okay, all right. Then we have another question. Thank you so much for that. We have another question from Veronica. Okay, she says, why is scaling optional?
So for instance, I haven't scaled, you know, I like to run things small. There can be a nice sweet spot depending on what your needs are and what you want to do. If you want, you know, there's a lot of talk in Silicon Valley and around the world of scaling and going big. And sometimes we don't stop and think, well, do I want to scale to that degree, or do I want to keep things a different size? So you can be an entrepreneur with a very successful business and not be operating at very high scale. And that can be quite enjoyable. So there's that option.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move ahead, and we have a few breaks kind of built in where we'll be sharing out. And I think through sharing out what we're writing in our individual business model canvases will hopefully surface a lot of common questions, and we can work out real situations, real scenarios. So let's get started. We are going to draw our business model canvas. We're going to draw one of these guys here. And I would like you to start by drawing this, what you see here, on your piece of paper, nice and big. I'm going to do one here and share it. You want it as big as you can get it on your piece of paper. Just draw a giant rectangle in a smaller rectangle at the bottom, and then divide that smaller rectangle with a line in the middle. So you should have something that looks like this. And when you have this written down, throw me a thumbs up in the chat. Excellent. And as you are finishing that, add the shapes that you see here. So what I like to do is put one where this line in the bottom here is intersecting in the middle, and then I know I have it somewhat even. So I do this, and then I divide these two in half. So you have something like this. Once you're at that point, we're just going to add dividing lines to this one and this one. So I think you can see that if you had a big sheet of paper, like butcher paper up on the wall, you would have room to put Post-it notes in. We won't have room to put Post-it notes on our paper, but we'll still use this to organize our thinking. And then lastly, you're going to label each of these. So write what you see on the screen in the appropriate area of your canvas. So in the right, we're going to write problem, going from left to right. Solution. Under solution is key metrics. In the middle is unique value proposition. You can just write UVP to abbreviate that. Everybody who works with businesses should understand what that means. Unfair advantage. Channels. Customer segments. My shorthand for that is CustSeg. Feel free to borrow my abbreviations and save your wrists. Cost structure at the bottom. And revenue streams. Okay. Okay, are you able to see my screen where the write-up is here? Is that clear? Okay, good. And then, because my handwriting is not clear, but this is what yours will look like. Okay. And then when you're ready to go from there, just throw me a thumbs up or type in ready. And when I see a bunch of those, then we'll move ahead. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to do this together. You'll know, so quick note about format. There's a reason that there are these small boxes and that we're working with Post-it notes. You cannot write long paragraphs. You cannot go on and on. You have to be really concise and clear and focused. And that's what saves us. That's what saves us. So I'm going to pretend, I'm going to do this with you, and I'm going to pretend I'm Airbnb in 2008. So we are going to start over on the right with customer segments. So what I would like you to do now, what I would ask you to do is think in your head, who are your primary customer segments? Who's your target customer? And write your target customers down. As you're writing them down, think about, okay, as you're writing them down, be as concise as possible and specific. So for Airbnb in 2008, I'm having my customer segments be young travelers and families with kids, because those are people who are either traveling on the cheap or a hotel doesn't work so well for them. When you have a small kid, it's nice to have a kitchen. So write down your primary customers and keep in mind, okay, I'm going a little too fast. That's fine, I will slow down. As you're writing down customer segments, keep in mind that you might have two different segments. For instance, for Airbnb, I also have people with an extra bedroom who have a place for people to sleep, right? It's a two-sided marketplace. So I have people who are going to put their bedroom or extra room on the market, and then other people who are going to rent it. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to do that. And then throw me a thumbs up in the chat when you're ready to move ahead, or stop me if there's something that's confusing that I should explain a little bit more. Okay, got a few people ready. All right, we've got customer segments. If you do have two different customer segments, put them either on two different colors of sticky notes, or just put, sometimes I'll put a star on one just so I know, okay, that's a different customer segment. All right, going to move on to the next one. And I didn't have you write this on your canvas, but you'll see here on the one that I have on my screen, how are they solving the problem today? So consider, are some of your people solving the problem they have? So every founder in here probably already has an idea of, there's this solution I have, and it's wonderful, and it's going to help people in a certain way. So without your solution existing, are people solving for that problem today in some inefficient way? For instance, with Airbnb, some of the young travelers are staying in youth hostels, and I think that I'm going to get some of those to use my product. Many of them are crashing on their friends' couches if they have friends that live in a place they're traveling to. Parents with young kids are looking on Craigslist to see if, or I'm sorry, what I meant to say is that people with an extra bedroom are looking on Craigslist to see if they can get a tenant in their house. So these are some ways that the problem's being solved today. So think about that with regards to your product and write that down as well. And I'll give you a minute to do that. Okay, let's, once you have just that much done, I would love it if we could get like 2 people to share out what their product idea is and who their customer segments are. And I'll leave it to our panelists to select a couple people if that works all right for you, SKP.
Okay, that's fine. I'll take one person from Zoom, and then one person from YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just taking the first person. Okay, so see. Okay, Preskova, go ahead, but type it in the chat box, Preskova. Please type it. Sita Bile, you can also type yours. So whoever I see type this first, I'll read that out.
Okay.
Just type, ladies type, whoever types first, I'm going to read it out. Okay, so Sita Bile is into turkey farming, and she says customer segments are health conscious people and obese people.
Okay, okay. Mothers and fathers between ages 23 and 50, grandmothers and aunties. Okay.
No, that's actually for another person's business.
That seems, so that could be detailed enough.
Okay.
People solved by gym and eating vegetarian diet. Okay, and what was the, okay. Okay, about the solving problems, people solve the problem by going to the gym and eating vegetarian diet. Okay, and that was for the turkey farmer. Oh, okay, health conscious and obese. Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So the reason we have this, how people are solving the problem today, is because these people may very well be your early adopters. So it's nice to be aware of how they're solving the problem today, because oftentimes you can look at that and use it as a hack. It's a hack for the real solution. And the hacks can often lead you on the right way to build your solution, because it's what people's behaviors are doing right now. Okay, this is great. Let's move ahead to the next segment of our canvas. So the ones that you have written, maybe stick them kind of by customer segment, just stick them all up here. And now we're going to move on to problem. Okay, so I wanted to speak to what Mercy has, customer segment, the elderly, the young, the middle-aged. So it would be good to be a little bit more specific than that. Like that is a very helpful grouping, but I think we want to get even more specific, like how do the elderly or the young or the middle-aged, what's going on with them that makes them a good candidate for you. So there's something more specific there that will make those people customers for you, whereas not every single elderly person will necessarily be a customer. All right, moving on to the problem, a little area here. So for each customer that you have, write what their problem is that your solution is going to solve. Go one-to-one. So as an example, for Airbnb, I have young travelers. I want to be, young travelers are a customer segment of mine because Hotels feel separate from the community, and actually they get two stickies, and hotels are expensive. So when I'm a young traveler, I want to be in the mix, right? I want to feel like part of the place I'm visiting. So these are the problems that the young traveler has. Families with kids, it's hard to travel with small kids and no kitchen. So that is the problem that families with small kids have that I think I can address with my solution. And I have this other customer segment over here too, the people who are going to be supplying the rooms that I'm going to sell. Those people have a problem, and it's that cash is tight and they would like to, hopefully have another revenue stream. So take a second to do that. When you've got a problem statement for each of your customer segments, go ahead and throw a thumbs up in the chat so I know we're ready to move ahead. Okay, seeing a few thumbs. Okay, I'm going to keep us moving ahead so we can fit things in. Hopefully the timing works all right. Otherwise, I guess we can replay it on YouTube, but I do want to be sensitive of your time here. So now we're going to move on to this the middle one, the unique value proposition right here. So for each of these customer segments and their specific problem, what is your value proposition to that customer? So, for instance, young travelers, they have the problem of hotels feel separate from the community and they are expensive. My value proposition that matches this customer segment and their problem is feel part of the community and more value for your money. I should have put this one up here so it matched. But anyway, the top and the bottom one apply to young travelers. Families with small kids, the ease of home while you travel with your kids. And then I have my other customer segment, or my two-sided marketplace here, extra income. Earn extra money by letting our travelers stay in your extra room. We're really breaking it down. Breaking it down is important because there is less hidden space for shaky ideas to hide. You want to expose all those nooks and crannies. Okay, I'm going to move ahead. Just type stop in the chat if I'm going way too fast. Okay, now we're going to move on to solution. So, when you talk about your business with people, you lead with your solution, right? That's what we do as entrepreneurs. Like, oh, I've got this great idea. It's going to be wonderful for so many people. Here's what it is. Isn't it great? We waited till the fourth section to do this because your solution only matters if it's helping a real person solve a real problem and you can communicate that to them. Otherwise, your solution doesn't even matter. No one's even going to see it or care about it. So my solution as Airbnb is to have a web app where travelers are matched with homeowners that are or home renters who have extra space. That's it. That's Airbnb, right? But you can see how that fits with each one of these now. So go ahead and write briefly, shortly, what your solution is on this piece of paper, on a tiny little piece of paper. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did a few moments ago, where we have a couple people, maybe two, share out. And it would be nice if we could, if it's possible, if we can give the mic to somebody, let someone come on to say what their customer segments are, their problems, the unique value proposition, and the solution. Get two people to do that. That would be terrific. I don't know if we have that ability to let people speak.
We're using the webinar function, so I'm not sure we can allow them to no, okay. I don't think so. Let me check. No.
I don't want to give you tech
yes,
headaches. We can, okay.
No, actually we can. So anyone who's willing to share, please type your name in the chat box, and then I'll just say I want to share, or just put your name. Messi.
Lots of
so
people
Messi is the
ready
first.
to share.
Messi, I'm going to look for you, and I'm going to allow you to talk. Get ready. So I'll start with Messi, and then I'll pick one more person.
Okay. Hi, Mercy. What is your, let's okay. Mercy, you go first, and let's start with let's just go in order of how we went through it. Pick a customer segment, then tell us their problem, what the unique value proposition is, and then what your solution is. Are we doing?
Go ahead. Okay, Messi, you're mute, and we'll take you afterwards. Let's go with Sita Billy in the logo.
Wonderful. Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
It's very slow and choppy. Yeah.
We can't hear you. The internet connection is.
Can you hear me?
That's better.
Oh, fantastic. Beautiful. I can hear you now.
Hello, madam. Can you hear me?
And no, I think it's a little bit too choppy, but maybe you can type yours in, and we'll move on to one of the others.
Okay, so let me go to someone, Mercy or Shala.
Can you hear now? Hello.
Do you want to type, Mrs. Ndlovu? Please type yours. Sorry for that. Shala, please go ahead.
Hello.
Please go ahead.
Well, my customer segment is young women artists. What how we're resolving the problem is through galleries, which will be on an online platform. This is it's a solution because of COVID-19. Well, the problem is COVID-19 has challenged the business landscape. More people are moving to buying and selling online. This is a solution that I'm creating because I'm going to offer a digital space that recreates the experience of visiting shops and art galleries. Yes. The unique value proposition is to keep things new and interesting by empowering young artists. The second one is to empower women, and the third one is to it's the same as a solution. It's going to recreate the experience of visiting shops and galleries. Yeah, and
okay.
The main problem is COVID-19.
Right. So
yes.
I would challenge you to be a bit more specific about the problem from the point of view of the young artist.
Okay.
So I would ask why specifically is COVID-19 a problem? So the artist might be like, normally I would have had 2 shows by now and sold some pieces, but I can't show my work anywhere, and I have bills to pay. Like, it might be something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then your online gallery allows the income to come in again, or allows eyeballs on their artwork. So be a little
Yes.
more specific.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for sharing. That's
Thank,
wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Mercy, please go ahead. Please unmute your mic, Mercy. We can't hear you.
Mercy is in the hospital, and that's why she's unable to speak. So maybe we grab one more and then move ahead.
Okay, so we'll do Patience. Please unmute your mic and go ahead to speak. Patience Etim, please go ahead, unmute your mic and speak.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, please. My business is fashion design, and the problem that I'm to solve is that most customers do not get professional tailor to sew their clothes to their specification and style. Sometimes they do have delay in delivering, and most of them complain of the charges that they do charge them, that is very high. That is high cost of sewing the clothes. So my solution is my unique value proposition is to provide sewing services to people well tailored to their needs and specification at affordable price. Then my solution is to have a sewing shop where people can come in and make their clothes at affordable prices. My target customers are all females, both old and young, girls, teens, etc.
Okay. Thank you. That was very specific. So you have a customer segment that has a very specific problem, and you have a solution, which is you're going to provide that service for much cheaper than the competition. Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Terrific. I love it. All right. So I'm going to move ahead, and
Andy,
we'll have.
Andy, can I just
Yes.
take one? Can I take one more person from YouTube? I'll just read it out.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we have Gertrude Nkitani, and she says the key problem that her business is trying to address is a lack of healthy alternative in addressing issues of health and nutrition in our society. And Moringa can provide just that. The increasing need for organic fertilizer by farmers who participate in conservation farming. So I think she's into the farming of moringa products, which can be used both as food and as fertilizers for organic fertilizers for farmers.
Okay, you cut out right when you said what it was that can be used as food and as fertilizer. What was?
Moringa plants.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, so this is something that feels a bit systemic and grand, which is lovely, right? And so there are many there are many entrepreneurs, thankfully, who see larger issues with society or well-being that they feel that they can have a positive impact on. The trick then is finding the hook, which is the person with a pain that your product is going to solve, so you can get traction. So I would love to hear who what the customer segment was again. One of the customer segments for this one.
I think the customer segments will be farmers and individuals who want healthy food.
Okay, farmers and individuals with healthy food. So I would dig into those problem statements a little bit deeper. So yeah, farmers is this. So let's just go with farmers. So they're the segment. What pain are they having right now that you're going to solve for? Like, why are they going to pick your solution, the moringa plants, because it's altruistic for them to do so, or is it more affordable, or does it give them some benefit? What is the pain that is addressing for them?
Okay, from what you said, it's because it's a healthier form of fertilizer. It's organic fertilizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're going to want to dig into whether or not there's a demand for that, and there may very well be. And if there's not, you'll need to figure out how to create it. But yeah, we get specific about that, you know, from their business perspective, right?
Okay, I think we can go on.
Okay,
because of time.
here we go.
So many comments.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks, which is wonderful, and I can hopefully we'll have time for a Q&A afterwards, and maybe we can do some questions just kind of offline afterwards. Now we're going to move to channels, which is down here. Channels is how are people going to find out about your product? How will they know? So imagine each one of your customer segments. How might they become aware of your business? In my example of Facebook, in my example of Airbnb, not Facebook, I'm going to reach young travelers and families with kids by doing outdoor advertising at travel destinations. So in the United States, a lot of families with young kids go camping at like these big campgrounds that have swimming pools and snack shops. So I'm going to do billboards there, and I'm going to run ads on popular travel websites. For the other side of my marketplace, the people who have the spare rooms, I'm going to post ads, I'm going to post Craigslist rental listings on Airbnb and see if I can get traction, and then show that to specific people on Craigslist and be like, hey, I can fill your room. That's how they're going to find out about me in this early stage. And then hopefully they'll refer more people to me. Okay, so this one can be a little bit tricky, but think about, how will people discover you? Okay, when you're done with that one, throw a thumbs up in the chat. Very early on, if you're doing things just with a very small set of users, it's okay for channels to be, I'm going to email 20 people in my network. You know, that is the channel in which they will find out about me. They will get an email from me. Or it could be solely word of mouth. You know, that's fine. I'm going to give this one another minute because it can be tricky. Yep, someone asked, can my social media be a channel? Absolutely. And this is very changeable. So when you do experiments, like the reason to organize your your thinking into this is you can be very targeted about where your logic might be a little off, or you can test each one of these. So you can do channel tests. You can try, you know, posting to all your social media and then be like, oh, well, none of my customers actually follow me. So, you know, maybe I should try this other thing. Humility and experimentation. Okay, let's jump ahead. Okay, now we're going to go down to revenue streams. How are we going to make money? This is the bottom right. So consider subscription. Is it a monthly fee? Is it just they buy it a one-time charge? How are you going to make money? So mine is very simple. I just charge a 3% service fee for every rental. So the home renter pays me a commission. So how are you going to make money? Write it down in there. Oh, patient says, would like some more clarification on this. So how do you make money, basically? Like, where's the money going to come from? It's fairly simple. So you might be overthinking it. But if I have a shop and I'm selling umbrellas, people come in and you just buy my umbrella. So umbrella sales is what I put down there in revenue stream. I can't remember which one yours was, Patience, because I didn't write it down. So I can't do an example with your business. Okay, can I say basically from the sales made? Yeah. So if you're just selling a thing for a certain amount, then it's revenue from sales of your product. Charging $1 on every delivery. Okay, so that's fine. That works. Absolutely. Okay, and then comes the fun part of writing down the cost structure, because, you know, none of this is free, right? So for Airbnb in 2008, what I have for cost structure here is I need web hosting and equipment. So I got to pay for web hosting. I need software developers and designers. Let me handle this question real quick. My solution and revenue streams look similar. Is that correct? Solutions provide cheaper organic fertilizer at high quality protein, and revenue stream is sales of these products. Yeah, so for that one, I would just break it out for each of your segments. Unless it's just really that they're going to buy it per pound at the same, you know, they're going to buy my thing per pound. So per pound sales of something or other. Just force a little bit of specificity, but that sounds fine. And okay, Anekwe, from sales and teaching people how to produce my native species. Okay, so teaching people. Is that like, are they going to pay for a course, or are they going to enroll in a program over a number of months? So how are you going to price those trainings? Is it subscription? Is it just a one-time sale? Is it a commission? So that's what we're looking for, because you want to know, is like your revenue coming in every month over a certain amount of time because of subscriptions, or is it just like a sale? That's the type of granularity we're trying to get to. Okay, on to cost structure. So for Airbnb, I have advertising costs. I think I'll probably need a lawyer because I've got people staying in other people's houses, and an office space for me and my employees to work out of. very high level. So you may have to, procure seeds for your native species, have a place to grow them. Major costs only, Maribel. So bucket the costs in a way that makes sense. We're looking for a sweet spot of like not too general, like all my employees. You might want to break it out into important groups. Like if you have a software product, you probably want to have, software engineers be its own category. Okay, patience has shop space, electricity costs for running my machine, fashion accessories at cost. This is terrific. That's a great level of specificity. Can we also do outsourcing for Airbnb to make more revenue? Yeah, you can, like if you're standing something up from the beginning and it's before you have employees and you need to rent talent, yeah, put that down in there. Outsourced whatever the capability is. Okay, this looks great. Okay, it looks like you're all got a good handle on that one. So I'm going to move on. Okay, now we're moving to key metrics. See, this is getting filled out. So key metrics is right under solution. This is my favorite one. So imagine yourself 4 months into the future, your business is running, it's going well. What are the things you can point to and measure that lets you know that your business is going well? So 4 months into your business, let's say you get, just for fun, let's just say you have amnesia and you wake up and you're like, oh no, how's my business going? What are the things you're going to look at? So for Airbnb, my key metrics are going to be the number of matches per week. How many travelers and houses and accommodations have I been able to match? And is that going up week over week? Also, the percentage of returning customers, people who come back and use my product again. And then for my accommodations providers, I'm going to measure the percentage of referrals. How many of those people are referring using my referral code to sign up friends? That's how I'm going to know that the business is successful. So Fila, you have feedback from customers. Hopefully your customers are exchanging some form of value with you to get whatever you're providing them, either money or activity or something. So I would consider what is that and measure that. Like if I'm getting great feedback from my customers, but they're not buying anything or telling their friends, then that doesn't count so much, right? Okay, I see a few people are still on costs. Okay, Precious says increased number of customers, referrals by customers, and growth of business. Those are great, and I'm going to ask you to put those in terms of a percentage. And here's why. If I have 10 customers my first week, and then I have only 5 new customers my second week, 2 new customers the week after that, my number of customers is going down, right? I'm not getting more customers. But if I just look at the number of customers and if it's growing over time, it looks like it's going up. So you want to have a ratio. Customers per what? Customers per month. It's going to be customers over some increment of time. Same with referrals. You want to make sure that the percentage of referrals per customer or per time is going up. Okay, and Susan says, percentage of customers booking travel. Okay, percentage of, so I read that as of the customers you have, a certain percent will book travel. Okay. There was a question, can we say number of orders per week or per month? Absolutely. Because if your percentage of orders is going up, business is taking off. If the percentage is going down, then you're going to know something's up. Okay, Evelyn says number of pieces of cloth sold in 1 week, number of bales purchased in the course of 3 months, orders made through referrals from my clients. I love those. I love those. And referrals, you know, referrals are magic, right? Okay, what about new customers per given period? Yes, that's great. How many customers am I acquiring every period of time? Then the next thing you're going to want to look at is to make sure you're also retaining them. Because if your retention is low, then you can throw as many customers as you want in there and they're just going to drop out. But yes, initially you want to count acquisitions. How do you figure out the percentage? So this is different for every entrepreneur, and it is fine to use your gut on what you think is a good percentage, and then just check the numbers to make sure that your business can survive it. So go with your gut and then check it with some very lightweight financial modeling. You know, just back of the envelope, as they say, just some quick math. Okay, moving on, we're almost there. And then we can have more Q&A. I think we'll have time. All right, the last one we're gonna do is it really the last one? Yes, it's the unfair advantage. Unfair advantage. So this is what was introduced specifically by Ash Maurier's Lean Canvas. And that is the knowledge that if you have a barrier to entry, something that gives you just an unfair advantage, then that's great. So if there is one, let's write it down. I do have to say that most startups don't have this. For instance, with Airbnb, I with Airbnb did not have an unfair advantage. The only advantage was really that I thought of the idea first and I moved on it first. Now I have an unfair advantage. I've got all these people on my platform and they're mine now. But what I wrote for the version of 2008 is that I have an extremely low overhead, so I can charge under market. I can be really cheap. And for the young travelers, there are many different options of where you can stay, and the price is low. A really good example of unfair advantage would be like if one of the tech unicorns decided to do a thing, they already have so much data on users that that's their unfair advantage. But you know, oftentimes it doesn't exist. If anyone has an unfair advantage, you know, tell us what it is. We want to know. Can low competition be one? So the way to think of unfair advantage is, can someone copy what you did? Like once you do it, can someone just copy you and throw money at it and just blow you out of the market? So low competition can be one for a while, but then once you start making money, the competition will come. Skill set, if you're the only one with a certain skill set, or there's a very rare skill set, then that is an unfair advantage, again, for a little bit. Once you start making money, other people are going to get that skill set. Okay. Access to talent can be an unfair advantage for a little while as well. Low startup capital. Oh, yeah. So low overhead. That's not an unfair advantage, but that helps. Can lack of capital be an unfair advantage? Whew, tell me more, Emily. I'm not quite sure what you mean. I think it would be difficult. I think it would be difficult to have that be an unfair advantage. Although there's psychology there that, you know, I could wax on about, but okay. All right, so I'm gonna talk a little quick about, oh, unfair advantage isn't clear. Can you please take that again? So if there is any advantage that you have that, so imagine you're successful and other people see it and they're like, I want in on that. What is their barrier to entry that you don't have? You know, what do you have that makes it easier for you to do this that other people won't be able to do if they care to copy you? Low cost is an unfair advantage just for a little bit. You're driving the market cost down, so you're creating pressure for your competitors. You're undercutting them. That can work well for a little while, and then someone's going to come along and undercut you. Who wants to live more simply, perhaps? Okay, and you know what? Most of you aren't going to have a unique advantage or an unfair advantage. I've never had one in any of my businesses. So I'm going to wrap up a little bit, and then we're going to share out and have Q&A for a few minutes. Claudia asked, unclear advantage can be like someone accessing raw materials without paying taxes. Yes, that's a great example. Yeah. Okay, we have extraction machines. Okay, if you have that and it's really hard for other people to get it, or it takes a long time, then that it's an unfair advantage. Okay, so now that we have our canvas filled out, this is the lens through which you can do these 3 steps. Problem, solution, fit. That's this part of your canvas. This is customers, their problems, and then your solution. Testing that with small sets of users to see if you can progress them through your funnel, like get them to buy it, support it, retain them, get them to refer someone. You know, doing that will show you problem, solution, fit. And we can talk at another time about the trade craft of doing that, because there is trade craft, but this is an important step. Then for product market fit, you're dealing with these parts of your canvas. You're dealing with your unfair advantage, the channels at which you're seeing and which people are finding you, your unique value proposition, your key metrics, cost structure, and revenue stream. These pieces are going to tell you if you have product market fit once you have problem solution fit. And then if you're interested in scaling, you're going to be really looking at cost structure and revenue streams and seeing if I just pour more into this, will it scale, or is there a limit to scaling? And you can consider those at that point. To answer unfair advantage, is that the same as a competitive advantage? It's like a competitive advantage on steroids. The example earlier was really a great one. Like if you don't have to pay taxes on something that everybody else has to pay taxes on, that gives you an unfair advantage. If you're somehow able to get your inventory for free or for really low cost, whereas no one else can, that's an unfair advantage. If you own a network that you can tap into that other people would have to build and take years doing so, that's an unfair advantage. Okay, so that we've done it. We've done the lean canvas for our businesses. We know we have these 3 steps we need to go through. So let's just open it up now and ask questions about your specific canvases. It looks like we've got almost 15 minutes.
Okay. Let me open. Okay, so let me start from the last question that was sent in. So we have Evelyn says she's a business owner that runs a secondhand clothing store and is also a training consultant on entrepreneurship and a mentor. Basically, what they normally do when mentoring a business owner, they use the usual business canvas model. So she's asking, in what kind of businesses can the lean canvas business model be applied?
You know, I apply
So
it
that's her
to,
question.
yeah, that's a wonderful question. I think you can apply it to every business. It's just that you're probably not going to have an unfair advantage for every business. But if I were opening a flower shop, I would put it through these paces. If I were doing something much more high tech and global, I would run it through these paces. I think it's an appropriate lens for absolutely any business, small or large, with the exception of B2B businesses. I think that it can be helpful to maybe look at a different type of canvas. There is Steve Blank's business model canvas that takes business partnerships into account. So you might want to use that one, but the canvas is the way to go. I see that there is some confusion about
an interesting question. I think it's an interesting question. Go ahead.
Oh, you're waiting for me. I was waiting for you. There was a question here about not understanding the difference between the solution and the unique value proposition. So the subtle difference is that the solution is what you say, like, oh, here's what my business is about. I've got a two-sided marketplace where I connect people with spare beds to travelers. That's my solution. But my unique value proposition is going to be slightly different for each customer. And so my unique value proposition is, hey, young travelers who really want to get a taste for the world, stay in someone's house and experience the culture and do it so on the cheap. That's the unique value proposition. Or for the person with the spare room, hey, you have this spare room, why not make some money off of it? By the way, I have this platform. So the unique value proposition really speaks to the customer and their problem very directly. I hope that helps clear it up.
Okay, that's fine. So let me ask one more question, then I'll go to the questions that were sent in before the session. And I think this is an interesting question. So Abigail is asking, so the companies that followed up like Motorola, BlackBerry, and the likes, would it be safe to say they didn't have knowledge of the business model canvas?
The business model canvas did not exist then. And with BlackBerry, with RIM in particular, there were competitors who were ready to eat their lunch and they looked away. So if they had been continuing to experiment on what their advantage was and who their competition was, they could have, things could have been different. Things could have been different. So that is a case where they really did turn a blind eye. And it's a real danger as you scale and get bigger. It is extremely compelling just to look inward and not to look at what's coming up right behind you.
I agree with you, Andy. I think BlackBerry or RIM, Research in Motion, completely underestimated the power of their competition when the smartphones came in. They undermined the power that the competition had.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me ask the question. So Michelle from Zimbabwe is asking, from your consulting experience, what would you say is the most common mistake that entrepreneurs make when drawing up their business model?
It is skipping this first step. It's thinking you have problem solution fit when really you just really like your umbrella hat and everybody's being nice to you. So it's glossing over the problem solution fit and trying to go to market without doing your homework on what your customers really are going to value.
Yeah, thanks. And Andy, and this is just me drilling further on that question. We have tons of questions, but I think it's important that I drill further down on the question. I mean, you know, because sometimes you actually do this customer surveys and everyone tells you, oh, it's nice, we like it, but they don't buy it. And
stay away from no one wants to tell you your baby's ugly. It's uncomfortable for them to tell you your baby is ugly. Don't make them do that. They won't. And here's the other thing. When you ask people will you buy this? Do you like this? People, even though they feel like they're answering from their heart, people are really bad at matching their actions to what they even believe in the moment that they're going to do. It's very unreliable data. So I discourage surveys for that reason. And a lot of my colleagues also discourage surveys because it's very hard to write a good one where you get answers that you're going to believe, that you can believe. And when you get like 100 survey responses back with data you can't trust, you're going to believe it anyway. You're going to believe it because it's 100 people sending us in this survey, you know, so it's almost worse than not knowing anything. So, so it's important to know how to get the signal that you can trust. And in short, if you create a situation where people are having to exchange some value to get some version of your solution, and you're seeing that behavior, then you know you're working towards problem solution fit and you're creating the conditions to learn where you're wrong. I can give an example. Creating conditions where you learn if you're wrong. Would you like to hear an example of this?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay, because I don't want to just go off script. Okay, so I was working with a startup who you may be familiar with, a big chain store we have called Walmart. And it is a low price leader. Walmart has everything. Walmart has it at cheap prices, right? So I was working with an internal startup for Coca-Cola, Coke founders. They were funded by Coca-Cola to work on this business they had. And they said, and this happens all the time, they went to Coca-Cola and they said, we have this great idea. We are going to create an app where people can earn points while they're shopping in Walmart. All they have to do is take pictures of items that they're buying, and then we get their buyer data, their buying data, and then we will show them in the app different deals. And these will be deals for Coke products. And we're going to do this at Walmart and it's going to be great. We ran the numbers, huge market opportunity. So they came to me and my colleague to build out this product. We looked for evidence of problem solution fit and didn't see any evidence. All we had was the founders saying that this is going to be great because they crunched the numbers. One person was from eBay, one person was from the stock exchange, and these are like smart people. So I convinced them to create the conditions to learn if they were wrong. And I said, what could we do today that is going to let you know that you're wrong if it is the case, because you don't want to spend $400,000 doing this thing if it's wrong. So they humored me. We went out to a Walmart parking lot, and after some soul searching, they were like, if we go out to a Walmart parking lot and we talk to 10 people who just went shopping in there, and we ask, what is your biggest pain point on your mind right now? They're going to tell us, it's very important for me to get cheap deals. I need cheap deals. I do not have enough money. I need deals and I need to save money. So they expected 9 out of 10 people to say that. We talked to 10 people, 15 people who left that Walmart. Not one of them said that. And so they thought it was a sampling bias. So we went to another Walmart in a poor neighborhood. Same thing. We did this 4 times in one day. We drove all over this part of the state. So they were scratching their heads. From talking to people, we wrote down what they did say. And the biggest pains that were on their mind were finding a parking spot near the store, getting through the store quickly enough because they had their babies with them, and their babies are going to melt down and start freaking out. So how to do this as quickly as possible, and finding the bathroom for when their kid needs to go to the bathroom. Those are the biggest problems. When asked about finding deals, they were like, well, you know, I never have enough money. That's always a problem. But this is the one time I don't worry about that, because I know Walmart has the cheapest prices. I can just run through and grab anything. So they had to pivot. They had to either pivot and tell the people who were giving them money that they needed to pivot because they learned that their initial assumption was wrong, or they had to spend $400,000 building a product in bad faith because they knew it wasn't right. So they sucked it up, they did the right thing, and their funders had their back, and they pivoted their product to, instead of pushing Coca-Cola products on the working poor of the United States, they pivoted to handling the problem of food scarcity. And they created a grocery bank where you can bank groceries ahead of time and then just pick them up when your paycheck comes. And this solves a very real problem of food scarcity and the problem of husbands running off with the paycheck to go out drinking with the buddies before mom gets a chance to bank it on the turkey or the chicken or whatever you're going to buy. So they did a grocery bank and felt much better about it and have active customers. So that's my story about creating the conditions to find out if you're wrong.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now we have, I don't think we can take up to 10% of the questions that we have. So I'm just going to general and affects a lot of people. So Jackie Nam from Uganda is asked, and she sent in the question earlier. She says, timing is said to be one of the single most important factors for business success, even above a good business model. How can you determine whether the timing is right for your business, and what can you do if the timing is not right?
Timing is really tricky. So I watched the YouTube videos that you had all watched leading up to this. And I believe the one on timing talked about larger trends. So you can access a lot of free trend information. And one place I would point you to is, let me look it up. What is Amy Webb's? So when it comes to future trends with regards to technology, there is a woman named Amy Webb, and she has a business called, where is it? The Future Today Institute, futuretodayinstitute.com. She has publicly available quantitative analysis and foresight out there for you to look at for free. And all she asks is that you credit her. So she's amazing. for trends that don't have to do with technology and have to do with socioeconomic and political, I think just surfing and knowing what's going on, it goes a huge way. Timing a trend is really, really tricky. But I think that if you have vision of a business that aligns with some macro trends that are happening, go with your gut, read a lot on that topic, and then go through the rigor of finding a problem solution fit by creating the conditions to understand if you're wrong, and then adjust, because that's really what it's all about, creating the conditions to know if you're just completely off the mark, so you have the opportunity to adjust, because we know that it's 60 to 90% chance that you're going to have to adjust. So embrace that from the get-go. There's nothing you can do to ensure your success. It's never going to be a sure thing, but you can reduce the risk greatly. Yeah.
Thank you for that, because I mean, the question had asked that question. Okay, so we have another question here, Francis from Nigeria, and she says, how do you know when it's time to innovate your business model?
How do you know when it's time to innovate on your business model? Was that the question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so
yes.
So the business model canvas is a way for you to get it out of your head and test it. So the first one you do might be innovating on the current business, business as usual. That happens up here. When you have your new idea, you're innovating on what's already out there. When it's time to adjust your business model based on the evidence you're seeing, when you're creating the conditions to be wrong and you find out where you're wrong, then you're going to make adjustments. And at that point, you are innovating on your business plan. So you will almost guaranteed you're going to change some things based on learning in the field.
Okay, so I'll start with the questions that have come in both from Zoom and from YouTube. Okay, I want to ensure. Okay, please, ladies, when you're asking your question, please go straight to the point. Okay, so that's good. Okay.
I have a quick question I
Okay,
can
can
answer
your
while
value
you're
proposition
looking.
change with time?
Yes, your business will
Okay.
change with time. And so you should, in addition to this, when you're looking at your key metrics, that's how you're going to know if things are going well or if they're changing or if you see a new opportunity. So you're going to be tweaking all the time. You're going to need to tweak to make sure, like perhaps you'll see you're not retaining customers the way you needed to. Well, you're going to tweak things so then you start retaining them. So this will happen. Oh, in 4 months, chicks will start growing. So rate of mortality is a key metric. Yeah, that is a key metric.
Okay, so let me ask this question from Mr. Yusuf, and she's saying, how do you deal in a situation whereby your competitor has an unfair advantage? What do you do? How do you deal with this situation to be able to succeed in the market?
If your competitor has an unfair advantage over you, and it's something that you can't duplicate, then that is problematic. So you may need to pivot at that point. If you can't have yet another unfair advantage that they don't have, that puts you in a tricky spot. So you may need to differentiate your offering. Most entrepreneurs have a larger goal that their business falls under. a goal or a mission or some passion, some change they want to see in the world. So there's usually a way to do other things to meet that higher goal. Sometimes it means shutting down a business early before you lose a ton of money and doing something slightly different. And, you know, every entrepreneur does that. Every, you know, businesses have a lifespan. They have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. Sometimes they last generations. Sometimes they last 4 months, but boy, did you learn a ton. And now you're going to do something different next time.
Okay. Quite a number of questions. Stephanie, I can see the questions you sent me. I saw them pop up, but for some reasons I can't see them again. Can you help? Stephanie, can you read out the question at least?
There wasn't a question about how do I avoid being the umbrella hat to people and really know whom is really going to follow me in my business. So that is the tradecraft I was referring to with regards to creating the conditions to know if you're wrong. You can get false negatives and false positives early on. So there are some quick, there's like, I can give you a cheat sheet kind of example just here and now live. So one, talking directly to your customers and listening to what they say to validate the problem. For instance, if I'm selling dog shampoo, I'm going to assume that people's, you know, big problem is that they think their dog smells bad and wants their dog to smell nice. I can ask, what are your top 3 problems? They're things you wish would be different because you own a dog, and you would ask yourself, how many people would I need to hear that this is a top problem from to believe it's a real problem? And if you talk to 20 people and ask them what their top 3 problems are about owning a dog, and no one says that they wish their dog smelled better, then, you know, that's interesting for you to know, right? But if you go up to people and ask, hey, wouldn't it be nice if your dog smelled great? Everybody's going to say yes. So there's some tradecraft in there. The things you can trust when you're listening to people, the things you can trust are examples of past behavior. Like, when is the last time you washed your dog? What was going on? Why did you do it? Those stories you can trust. You can also trust if they will exchange something of value for your solution. Like if they'll exchange names of people in their network, you know, like social credibility. If they will exchange time, like work on my dog shampoo with me for an hour a week, because that would be helpful for me. If they're going to put in time, you know, that is an indicator. If they buy it, if they say, when can I buy this? Then that's an indicator. But if people say, oh, that's great, I think that's a good idea, I think I'd buy that in the future, that you cannot trust. It's either actual behavior with exchange of value, or that they have done that behavior in the past and can tell you stories about it. So you get a sense of like how frequent it is, how much pain there is, etc. And in my book, that's an MVP. That's a minimum viable product, is having that conversation and getting that learning. You will hear a lot of people tell you that an MVP is having a website and an Instagram account and being able to capture email addresses. You can do all of that and still be, you know, not creating the conditions to learn if you're wrong.
Okay. So I have another question from Liz, and this is more personal now. She said, how did you break the market to become a great consultant to all these global brands? And she has a second part to that question to say, for the startups that you assisted to build up, what were the challenges that they faced, and how did you help them become great businesses? So she's
okay, so I missed the first part.
Oh, okay. So she's asking that, how did you get into, how did you arrive at working with these global brands that you have worked with, you know, and especially when you were starting up? How did you get these big brands?
Yeah, so
Coca-Cola,
I kind of fell into it, and timing had a lot to do with it, because I was here at ground zero in Silicon Valley building, building out the first internet at companies that were tiny little startups that then became very large businesses. And I'm also near NASA, and so there's a certain cachet and credibility, and I have like a ton of experience too. What I will say is that timing will be very interesting for you all in your location, because I do feel the sun is setting here in terms of the raw innovation of it all. It's very mature now, but where there's going to be a lot of innovation and a lot of growth is in the continent of Africa. That's where we're expecting mega cities to occur. Most of a significant amount of venture capital is leaving the U.S. and it's mostly abroad. So keep an eye open to opportunities in your area. But in terms of helping businesses succeed, they need to get used to failure. You have to try things and learn where you're wrong. That's I think the biggest change in business in the last 100 years, is going into it knowing that you don't know most of what you need to know, and that you have to learn it by just trying things that don't work.
Okay, so there's another
Thank
question.
you, Andi. Stephanie, please go ahead and read out 2 questions. Let's do that.
Okay. So there's a question from Joy. She said, is it a bad thing that I have many customer segments? Is it a sign that I need to niche down?
It might be, and it depends. You can create a situation. I've seen many tech startups in the situation that they have one thing that's going to solve problems for many type of people, but they're all different problems, and none of them are very painful problems. They're what we call meh problems, like, it's not a big deal. If that's the type of situation you're in, it will be difficult to get traction, and because you're not going to have a lot of demand or a lot of pain. So this is a situation, you can find yourself in a situation where the market opportunity looks real good, as long as people are motivated to move towards your product. But getting them motivated to move can be difficult if it's not a painful problem, or if you don't have some sort of like real leverage over them.
Okay. Another question here says, can being a woman in a male-dominated industry be a form of unfair advantage?
I don't know. Possibly. I mean, often it's just the opposite. But, when I look back on my career, I feel like I've been able to use it to my advantage, but I've never had an easier road because of it. The overall road has always been harder and more limited for me because of my gender. So I hope it is for you. Share with the rest of us if it is.
Stephanie asked, let's take 2 more questions before we wrap up. We're out of time.
2 more?
Yes, 2 more.
Okay. Okay, so there's one here from Adefolake. She said, please, when do you need to be disruptive in business?
Ooh.
So when you need to be disruptive in business is, in my opinion, is when you're a large established company and you're looking at the larger trends in the world and you see that your business is going away, then you better start disrupting yourself. Jeff Bezos would say disrupt yourself all the time. Steve Jobs would have said that as well. For startups, the thing to look for is who's ready. Like, where is the disruption just begging to happen? And then just undercut those people. Just undercut them. Because these large companies have such, they have the advantage of scale in some regards, but in other regards, it's a big disadvantage. So look for opportunities to disrupt business as usual from from your vantage point.
Okay, one more question, Stephanie, and then. Okay, not sure. Let's wrap up now. I mean, we've gone way. It's been such a wonderful session. Thank you so much, Andi. This has been a delightful session, masterclass. I think it's our first. It's a workshop. It's not a masterclass. This is a workshop.
Okay, is this the first workshop?
We're having a. No, it's the first time we're having a hands-on session.
Okay,
most
excellent.
of the sessions have just been more. But thank you so much, ladies. One thing I advise you is to go back and watch this. You obviously would not possibly get this in the 90 minutes that we have spent here, or 90 plus minutes. Go back and watch the video and take your time to do this for your business. I also suggest or encourage that you do this for each customer segment. Have a different sheet for each customer segment so that it forces you to think through and to see if there's anything that you're missing per customer segment. Thank you so much, Andi, once more. It's a pleasure. It's been a delight. We are grateful. We are just, overwhelmed with the fact that you accepted to take this session and for the wonderful impact that you have had in this short period of time with us. Thank you so much, and we wish you a lovely day ahead. We wish you all the best. I will definitely still be in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to keeping in touch. I put my contact info up here. If anyone has questions, feel free to just hit me up on Twitter or on Instagram, and we'll see your questions there, and I'm always happy to talk. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, and you too. Enjoy the rest of it. It's almost 10 o'clock your time now, right?
Yep. Time for breakfast.
Bon appetit.
Okay. Thank you.